Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have an incredible guest here that I'm so looking forward to interviewing today. Ganesh, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Hey, Dunia. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
It's such a treat to have you on and can't wait to dive into this incredible conversation. I'd love to formally introduce you to our audience that haven't gotten the chance to know you like we have with PLA. So, to everyone listening, this is Ganesh Selvaraj. He is a technology leader with over 20 years of experience transforming digital platforms for Fortune 50 and Fortune 500 global retailers. Originally from southern India, his journey spans 3 continents and a career built at the intersection of technology and human experience. What's fascinating is where it all began, not in engineering, but as a cashier at a train station pharmacy in London. It was there that he became deeply curious about how technology could remove friction and completely transform the customer experience. That curiosity led him from store operations into engineering leadership, where he began shaping large scale digital ecosystems. Over the years, he had led major transformations focused on cloud native architecture and API first platforms. He's also been at the forefront of applying AI to areas such like research, personalization, and omni-channel commerce. Today, he leads global engineering organizations with a clear message to simplify complex shopping experiences at scale. His work is not just about technology, it's about reimagining how people interact with products, platforms, and the entire buying journey. Ganesh is currently based in the United States where he lives with his family. Ganesh, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Thank you, Dunia, for the background. Appreciate that.
I love this intro because it really sets the tone and sets stage to where you were at. And it actually is perfect for my first question. I'd love to know if someone were to tell this young cashier one piece of advice or an insight, what do you wish it had been knowing everything that you know now?
Great question, Dunia. I think looking back from where I started the journey and where I'm today, and long way to go. One piece of advice I would have got it before in the beginning of the career. Definitely the network part of it, right? Over a net worth.
Mhm.
In simplistic way, you know, bottom line, we all need three things that defines our success. One is the knowledge, and the second one is a network of people within your proximity, and the third thing is your net worth. Right? Probably been chasing the wrong thing in the initial part of my career, rather than investing my time with the right network. Right, and the right network can bring you both the net worth and the knowledge that you seek for and looking for. That would be my piece of advice I would have heard at the beginning of my career. It would have been a much different phase. Right?
This brings me also to my next question, which would be, you had a career that had like a wildly different start to where it ended up. And, so many people oftentimes ask themselves, especially when they're very ambitious and they're very driven and they may have a great goal in mind, or even just a simple hope that they can build something, astonishing in their lifetime. And yet look at where their feet are planted and are currently like asking themselves, how could I ever get there? What would be something you would share with someone, from the perspective of someone who's transformed their life from a certain place to another that is so different? What would be certain keys that have been helpful to be able to drive or experience such transformation?
Um, that's definitely a deep question. I think about it this way. Um, if someone can figure out how to operate at a higher sense of purpose, right? It's not something about the mystical experience. It's simply means you're not reacting to life, reacting to your jobs or your responsibilities or the expectation that comes every day, both personally as well as from a professional life. Being intentional about choosing what matters, right, and align your actions to it, right. That would be my piece of advice. There are many ways to look into it, but if you fix your sense of purpose, and not to react in life, rather being intentional and choosing what matters, that aligns your purpose, right, aligns your action, that would definitely keep anyone, put them in a long runway, right. Look for a long runway, not for a short term gain, right. Look for a long term purpose, long term benefit. That would be my piece of advice.
Mm. I love this perspective of purpose. It almost makes me think of the word intention, like having deeper intentions to be able to drive our sense of energy through that transformation and our ability to sustain even through the difficulties that that transformation may require from us.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Wow. I this next question is not always an easy question to ask and not always an easy question to answer, but I think it provides so much value to those listening. You know, so many of us actually get most of our value and most of our growth from the most challenging periods of our career. And I'd love to know, what were your biggest challenges throughout your career and how did they allow you to grow?
That's another great question. To be honest, Dunya, one of the one of the biggest challenge I would think of, looking back, could have got better perspective, would be, I could relate back to what I presented in the podcast yesterday, right? How do you build your 90 day strategy when you join in a new role? I wish I knew how to build it early up in my career phase. Right, I made several mistakes, pitfalls that I could resonate with everyone's life. Something that I could start with, in my early part of the career, assuming that the boss who hired me knows about me everything and I'm aligned, but that's not the case, right? I did not set the right expectations with the boss when I joined. I was assuming that everything is going well. I'm doing my job. I know what I'm doing. I'm delivering results. But when then things started to go uphill, that really put me in a spot where I didn't do my due diligence for the not first 30, 60, 90 days properly, right? And it was never ending catch up that I have to do to prove myself and juggle and all the things, right? And there are several mistakes and pitfalls. I ignored the stakeholders and structured listening, right? I got promoted uh, in a short period of time, and I thought I nailed it, and I know what I'm doing, and I started moving into my new role. I took a ready-made vision and start executing immediately without understanding the written rules, right? Not aligning with my stakeholders vertically, horizontally, and my peers and everyone around me, right? And that taught me a lot of lessons. Coming up with a structured question with your stakeholders. Some stakeholders are supportive. Some stakeholders might push back. Knowing the landscape, knowing your landmines around you, and understanding the organization, the culture, the political landscape around you is super important.
Mm.
Where I went from quickly getting promoted to start going downward trend, not aligning with my stakeholders, right? Assuming that I know what I'm doing and started implementing a ready-made vision, started executing immediately, right? And there are several cases, and some of the common mistakes we all make, especially in as an immigrant, um, moved to United States. Always we're enthusiastic, hardworking, thriving. When we start our career, we start setting unrealistic expectations. Oh, I know I've done this in the past. I can do it in a few weeks without knowing the landscape of the current job, current systems, nuances, the cultures, the people around it, right? And that definitely sets the, integrity question, right? You're really jeopardizing your integrity, setting the unrealistic expectations. And most of us come from a technical background. When we join, we quickly get into technical nuances, understanding how the systems work. We quickly learn and go deep, ignoring the political and stakeholder mapping that are unwritten rules, right? So I've done that same mistakes as well. So there are several challenges. So this is a few to call out. And one thing that I really learned in the past few years is, which I wish I could have learned it in the past, was learning how to pause and reflect. Deeply resonated on me in my career recently. Listening carefully, observing, making thoughtful responses rather going full flow. I wish I learned it early up in my career. So those are two things that I would like to call out as the biggest challenges of my career that I wish I learned it.
Mm. I love that, and I love actually the end of your answer because it touched on so much of your shares throughout, in the sense where so many times we're making decisions because we're assuming we've seen something similar in the past and that we know best without taking the time, because oftentimes we think we don't have the time to be able to truly align with, is this really what's best for the entirety of the organization and for all stakeholders that are involved, not just what I see from my perspective and what I may assume may be the right thing to do, with great intention, but what with carrying some blind spots that are present really from the lack of taking that time. And so many of us make this mistake because we think we don't have the time. And we may be, misinvesting that time in the sense where we're thinking, I don't have that time now, let me do this, but it actually may save me some time and mistakes in the end if I took the time now sooner
Wow.
rather than later.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
Right now, you're absolutely spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Ganesh, I totally resonate with what you're sharing, and I can see it weave in so many people's careers and their experience, myself included, of thinking that we don't have the time. And so it's an interesting conversation to have, which weaves into my next conversation beautifully. Um, in a time like now where technology is moving faster than it ever has before, how do we really push and invite ourselves to really almost force ourselves into taking that time? I'd love to
Right.
get your perspective, especially with this new tool and the mass use of AI that we're seeing more than ever that has changed the landscape in pretty much almost every industry. I'd love to get your perspective on it.
No, absolutely. We're all waking up with AI and working through AI every day, and before going to bed, we're with AI. So, no, absolutely, AI is real, and I've had the opportunity to take the first hand in implementing AI in different phases within my current job at Michaels. And also, we've been proactively thinking about envisioning what would the team look like by end of the year and early next year as the AI is evolving. Right? So, beautiful question. So, my perspective is not knowing where the landscape is going. I pretty much spoke to several industry experts. Some of them are, way ahead in the AI, built the agents, made a lot of process autonomous. And on the other end, some industries are still learning and thriving and thinking where to implement, right? So I've been talking to two extreme of experts in the industry. But I think everybody landed on a common goal from not knowing where it is heading, but the train is moving fast, right? We would rather jump on a train and learn and continue to keep our eyes and ears open and continue to evolve. What that means is the industry is moving in such a way that first individuals' productivity should be really important, right? If I can make an associate's life easier, meaning start your uh, work with AI. As an engineer, the AI needs more context, right? I'm sure you heard about context is a king in this world. So build your context, upload it into your AI, that generates the code, that generates the unit testing, that generates your personas for product team per se. Start your work with AI and start giving more context to the AI, which is your own LLM, your own GPT per se, and make the more the context you give, the better the AI, the LLM, and the RAGs are getting trained specific to your role. So as you start executing your role, for example, as an engineer, I want to generate a code, a front end code or a back end code. Now the AI has enough of context, enough of rules and guardrails, and it gives you more optimistic outcome, right? With the optimal tokens. Again, token is another challenge we're all going through, depending on the type of prompt you use, the complexity of the query, the models that you choose. The token cost can go up or down, right? That comes with the governance and guardrails. So everybody's figuring out. Some of them are already matured, some of them are figuring out. Like for us, we're still figuring out and navigating. How do we make the most out of using the right models so we don't have a lot of token cost? And basically that's a personal productivity side, right? Personal AI is one side that every industry is thriving and leaning towards it. The other one is the enterprise knowledge base. What that means is, NCP, which is Model Context Protocol. That's a new USB in this new world, right? We in technology we thrive from APIs to REST APIs to API gateways. Now in AI world, it's called MCP, right? Model Context Protocol, which is a new USB, which means every tools, every systems, be it internal tools or an external systems or integrations, are coming up with the MCP servers and uh, clients, right? So the organizations are building their own MCPs internally, hooked up with all their apps to the MCPs, and then we're reinforcing all the external vendors to come up with MCP connectors as well. So what that means is the users within the organization across the departments, be it a business side or operation side or tech side, they all have a single user interface that can quickly connect your internal systems talking to an external system using MCPs as a layer. You'll be able to query and get the latest and the greatest of the context. For example, I have a API integration issue due to cascading impact. Someone already built it. Someone already developed it in a robust, scalable, reliable way. I don't have to reinvent the wheel of experiencing too many things that could take some time, right? I'm going to burn some tokens also. Rather, I can quickly pull up what if someone have done this in the past, and I can quickly implement, narrow down to what the right solution is. Somebody would have in a product, somebody would have done the A/B testing of certain features that may work on mobile app or mobile web or desktop, right? Which is already nailed down, and they know what's a conversion look like, click through look like. I don't have to reinvent the wheel of doing the discovery. that's going to take at least a couple of months, right? I quickly narrow down, okay, this is what it works. So I will implement what works well and learn from the lessons that the other people already learned. So that's a single interface gives you knowledge across the enterprise. That's a
Mm.
second type of evolution is happening across the industry. The third aspect is the vertical integration. What we call is integrate with the tools, right? Which is OpenAI, Claude,
Mhm.
and Gemini, Codex. So many tools, coming up to make your life easier and automate certain process. For example, certain organizations use OpenAI or Codex or Factory AI per se to generate code, right? For engineering team, critical part of the software development life cycle is generating the code.
Mm.
And that, you know, uh, saves a lot of cycle time in the entire SDLC process. And similarly, in the business, there are manual process in running campaigns and doing marketing initiatives through manual process. So there are automated tools that can completely autonomous the whole process that could save time and improve the cycle time. So that's a vertical integration. These are three different, parallel track of
Mm.
cycles is what we see the industries are adopting at this point, not knowing where the ship is going. Right,
Mm.
that's across uh, the industry uh, take that I could resonate myself, and we're doing some of them within our organization in my current role as well.
Absolutely. I think it's such an invitation of being in the middle of implementation while not knowing where it ends up and continuously having to adapt to new tools or refinement and integrating these systems together so it's a little bit more cohesive within our organizations.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's going to be an exciting journey. And yesterday, I saw the presentation about uh, clause, right? The Claude's clause of it, that's like already an autonomous AI sitting there that can take some of your actions. Right? You can get so go apply for a job. You can start doing actions. Sometimes it's scary, and there are a lot of risk and vulnerability around it. That's why I think the organizations are coming up with the guardrails and governance to protect and ensure safely the ship is moving in the right direction.
Mm. Amazing. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. And, speaking of the future, speaking of everything that's coming that's exciting, I'd love to know, Ganesh, what is the legacy and impact you're still looking forward to leave behind?
But that's an amazing question. And I go back to what Jensen Huang at NVIDIA says, right? I always wanted to do my life work, uh, with a passion project. Right? Being in the retail over 2 decades, I really would like to completely reimagine how retail works uh, from now and what would it look like in 2 years from now, right? How would the customer shop in the next phase of AI evolution, right? As you see, Dunya, it used to be a couple of years back, customers comes to the site and shop,
Mm.
right? Use the mobile app to shop. Now there are many ways the customers are interacting, right? They go to ChatGPT or in a Gemini, and a lot of social media. So there's many omni-channel ways a customer interact with us, right? So before customer used to come to us, now we're going after the customers because there are many um, venues and AI tools. That's where the customer spends most of the time, right? How do I reimagine this whole thing in a decade or 2 decade from now? Is where my the legacy and the impact of what would what I want to do in my life work is heading to, right? And also, I always want to build the next gen high performance engineering culture, right? That balances speed, governance, and innovation. It's something that I, deeply passionate about, and take utmost responsibility in bringing that in daily life, right? That's something that is a legacy that I'm working on. I mean, I have a great team. I'm super grateful for that. But the AI is continuing to push us out of the boundaries, and we're continuing to reimagine and continue to build that culture to catch up. Yeah,
Absolutely. And it's an exciting time with,
right.
these tools.
Yeah, you're right.
Beautiful. I wanted to put out the QR code. If anyone is curious and has never come across, PLA and the podcast, I'm going to put out a QR code for these incredible workshops that the leaders put on regularly. If anyone is curious, like, how are Ganesh and Dunya speaking? Where is all this coming from? This incredible wisdom and knowledge. So I'm just going to put this out there in case you are curious and would like to find out a little bit more about the workshop. This is a free workshop, and I always tell everyone on the PLA podcast that's listening as an audience, even if you never hear of PLA again and you attend this workshop, you'll get so many tools and benefits. It will blow you away. And even if that's all you do, it'll be quite valuable. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who feels called to be curious and join. Ganesh, I'd love to know from your own experience, what has been the most surprising thing that you've gotten out of your own PLA journey?
Definitely, I would go with the pause and resonate. Right, that's the most impactful one that I took away. Right, and then starting my day with a gratitude.
Beautiful.
Right, instead of pulling my hair and diving into the issues which every one of us has to go through, but instead pause and reflect and start a day with a gratitude. That definitely impacted a lot.
Mm, absolutely. And I think those simple tools that so many of us forget to implement make such a difference when they are implemented consistently and with such intention, and actually end up changing the outcome of a lot of what we are creating, how we're taking action, how we're showing up for our teams at the office, and our results in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Ganesh, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the PLA podcast as a guest, and we're hoping to have you on once again. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, and all of your incredible presence, truly.
Thank you, Dunia, for having me here, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
It was so wonderful. And for anyone listening, we'll catch you all for the next episode of the PLA podcast. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you all.